So let's do the voiceover. Since it's been some time since I've done this. And let me not lose what I know, or what I can do. This is how I would usually like to talk, maybe not as accurately as now, or not as accurately as now because I have a script, but the idea is to learn to have this flow. I know with more practice I can do it. The idea is that I'm fluent with the language, but not in a sequence of connecting ideas. I tend to be all over my thoughts without articulating it correctly. And one of my aims is to resolve that. I thought the boarding school would have conditioned me to tackle such problems of public speaking or even storytelling, but I'm not quite there yet. But also, I don't have to be. Creativity can take many forms. You've got to find yours. So the trigger is this. I remember when we were in school, there was an auditorium. It was more like a chapel hall. So each one of us were made to say something. And since we weren't trained to speak flawlessly by ourselves, we were made to read something from the Bible. And I remember when my turn came, I would usually walk up to the podium with the verse already bookmarked in between my fingers. And I would just not look up and not address the viewers, or what should I call them, spectators for lack of a better word. And I would only look directly into the Bible and read the bookmarked verse. And the only time I would look up is when I say thank you at the end. And then later the headmaster or the principal would come explain the meaning of what I just read. Or probably they would talk about other activities and make some announcements. And I used to watch how they addressed the audience. Audience is the word I was looking for. And I kept thinking to myself, how come I can't speak like that? Even though I can speak, but I can't really speak. And it felt odd. And that kept me wondering for a long time. Even now, as you can see, I'm still using a notepad to communicate this to you. And the reason is because I feel the order is very important. Because it happens only once. And if you can't make that difference in that one go, then it's pointless to even speak. Is what I concluded after several attempts. Unless you have studied the material thoroughly to have the sequence in your mind. But I don't have time for that, especially now that I have so many things in mind that I cannot study my scripts. Not because I can't do it, but because I don't want to consume too much of my time doing it. There are plenty of things to be said, apart from things that are to be done. And if I would only speak, then I would attempt to study my scripts. But the music is what is consuming the RAM in my brain, I suppose. So I want to focus on how to present that, but also I want to connect some ideas, hopefully. It wouldn't be too sketchy. Let me tell you about an incident I remember from school. And it was an embarrassing one. once I tripped on the mic wire while walking up to the podium and lost my bookmark between my fingers and was totally clueless about which verse it was. So I opened the Bible, and after flipping the pages, the audience had already figured out that I had lost my verse. And I could hear people giggling already. Until I was like, fuck it. I'll just read out any verse. And accidentally or coincidentally, I read a verse which had the word prostitute on it. And even though I was maybe a little hesitant, but I had already started to read it out loud, something like this: I will not punish your daughters when they play the prostitute, nor your brides when they commit adultery, because the men consort with prostitutes. And everyone burst out laughing before I could even finish. And I was like, that's it. And I went backstage. I was more nervous saying those words, because probably if I was confident in my speech, then it would have been fine. But fate had me on my face that day. But looking at that verse again, it makes me feel now that, was God talking only to men? And how does that make sense? And that leads me to say that strong women are called men. And that's how God talks to men. So man is a metaphor for strength. And that's how it totally makes sense. And now, let me show you something. So nature has been interacting with me in various ways. And sometimes I'm startled as to how coincidental can things get. So what happened was I was watching this YouTuber, and he made a video about the pyramids in Egypt recently, and it was a very nice video. I'm talking about iShowSpeed's video. He is a fantastic influencer who was inspiring me immensely, alongside other creators as well. So after watching that video halfway, I fell asleep. But the next day, when I came up to the terrace, just looking at the sky, I saw 3 planes make a trail. And you wouldn't believe, because this is what I saw. Not sure if you can see it clearly, but if I take this image and invert it, it looks like a pyramid, does it not? I mean, wow. How does this occur only right after me watching about the pyramids? That too just not the following day. I mean, that too, just the following day. It's amazingly coincidental. And there was a very interesting dream that I saw that night, which I can vaguely remember right now, but what keeps me wondering is the mysteries of the pyramids and the tombs, and how we only know 30% of the findings about the pyramids, which has laser-sharp sculptures and engraved doors to the afterlife. And King Khufu's boat, which is supposedly the first iconic boat in the world, which I found interesting as well. Another thing that I was interested is the nose that was taken off from the monuments. Whether it was eroded or damaged on purpose, I can't really tell. But what I know is that the nose can be taken as a fetish. Probably King Khufu did not like that fetish, which is why he or someone broke the noses from the monuments. But the nose, or the smell in particular, is a fetish among many other fetishes, and we can talk about it. We can talk about it separately when I'm talking about porn. Which leads me to ask you, that is porn valid according to you? And is it justified within our evolution process? So I'll talk about it later, not now. What I noticed about the pyramids is that the structure itself, it's a divine structure. It's quite obvious to observe, but I'm not sure if everyone would get it, because it depends on the viewing angle. And from this angle, it looks like an endless road to the stars, like a never-ending journey to the skies. I was just looking for an image on Google to illustrate this, and I did somewhat find an illustration. I mean, just check it out and use your imaginations. It's certainly massive and brilliantly done. Wow.